The Undefeated by Kwame Alexander, illustrated by Kadir Nelson. The Undefeated. The Undefeated by Kwame Alexander, illustrated by Kadir Nelson. This is for the unforgettable, the swift and sweet ones who hurdled history and opened a world of possible. The ones who survived America by any means necessary, and the ones who didn't. This is for the undeniable, the ones who scored with chains on one hand and faith in the other. This is for the unflappable, the sophisticated ones who box adversity and tackle vision, who shine their light for the world to see and don't stop till the break of dawn. This is for the unafraid, the audacious ones who carried the red, white, and weary blues on the battlefield to save an imperfect union. The righteous marching ones who sang, "We shall not be moved," because Black lives matter. This is for the unspeakable. This is for the unspeakable. This is for the unspeakable. This is for the unlimited, unstoppable ones, the dreamers and doers who swim across the big sea of our imagination and show us the majestic shores of the promised land. The Wilma Rudolphs, the Muhammad Alis, the Althea Gibsons, the Jesse Owenses, the Jordans and the LeBrons, the Serenas and the Cheryls, the Reese Whitleys, and the undiscovered. This is for the unbelievable, the "we real cool" ones. This is for the unbending, the black as the night is beautiful ones. This is for the underdogs and the uncertain, the unspoken, but no longer untitled. This is for the undefeated. This is for you, and you, and you. This is for us. Afterward. I started writing this poem in 2008. That was the year my second daughter, Samaya, was born, and 3 months later, Barack Obama became the first African-American president of the United States. This poem was my tribute to both. I wanted to establish from the very beginning that much of what I'm talking about in this poem, so much of American history has been forgotten, left out of the textbooks, and that to truly know who we are as a country, we have to accept and embrace all of our woes and wonders. So I wrote a poem because I wanted my daughters to know how we got to this historic moment, or as the famous Mahalia Jackson spiritual says, "You know my soul, look back and wonder, how did I make it over?" I wrote a poem about Black Olympians such as Jesse Owens and Wilma Rudolph undermining the false narrative of white superiority by racing to gold in front of the whole world, about Malcolm X urging blacks to fight for freedom, justice, and equality, no matter the method or the cost, about enslaved Africans pushing on with an unwavering fighting spirit of hope and faith that one day they would be free, or that their children or their children's children would become the masters of their own destinies, about Langston Hughes and Zora Neale Hurston and the Harlem Renaissance, about cultural expression and liberation and the Black Arts Movement, about Dr. King's acceptance speech of the 1964 Nobel Peace Prize, about a promised land without racial injustice, poverty, and war, about civil rights marchers chanting, "We shall overcome," and demonstrating across the South, about Jack Johnson and Muhammad Ali boxing racial prejudice in and out of the ring, about Black Civil War soldiers saving a union that refused to see them as equals, about Black Lives Matter, about Black Lives Matter, about Black Lives Matter, because we are Americans, because we are human beings. But mostly I wrote a poem to remind Samaya and her friends and her family and all of you, and to remind myself to never, ever give up because as Maya Angelou wrote, we may encounter many defeats, but we must not be defeated. It may be necessary to encounter the defeat so that we can know who we are, so that we can see, oh, that happened, and I rose, and I did get knocked down flat in front of the whole world, and I rose. Keep rising. Kwame Alexander, May 11th, 2018. Historical figures and events featured in the Undefeated. This is for the unforgettable, Jesse Owens, 1913-1980. This is for the undeniable, slavery. This is for the unflappable, Jack Johnson, 1878 to 1946. Who Shine Their Light, Romare Bearden, 1911 to 1988. Zora Neale Hurston, 1891 to 1960. Jacob Lawrence, 1917 to 2000. Henry Ossawa Tanner, 1859 to 1937. Augusta Savage, 1892 to 1962. Phyllis Wheatley, 1753 to 1784. Langston Hughes, 1902 to 1967. Aaron Douglas, 1899 to 1979. This is for the unafraid, Black soldiers during the Civil War. The Righteous Marching Ones, John Lewis, 1940. Civil Rights Movement. This is for the unspeakable, the transatlantic slave trade. This is for the unspeakable, Addie Mae Collins, Cynthia Wesley, Carol Robertson, and Carol Denise McNair. Sandra Bland. This is for the unspeakable, Sandra Bland, Michael Brown, Tamir Rice, Trayvon Martin. Sandra Bland was 1987 to 2015. Michael Brown was 1996 to 2014. Tamir Rice is 2002 to 2014. And Trayvon Martin was 1995 to 2012. This is for the unlimited, Martin Luther King Jr., 1929 to 1968. The Wilma Rudolphs, Wilma Rudolph, 1940 to 1994. Michael Jordan, 1963. Althea Gibson, 1927 to 2003. Muhammad Ali, 1942 to 2016. Cheryl Swoops, 1971. Jesse Owens, 1913 to 1980. Serena Williams, 1981. Reese Whitley, 2000. LeBron James, 1984. This is for the unbelievable. Thelonious Monk, 1917 to 1982. Louis Armstrong, 1901 to 1971. Billie Holiday, 1915 to 1959. Miles Davis, 1926 to 1991. Duke Ellington, 1899 to 1974. Sarah Vaughan, 1924 to 1990. Ella Fitzgerald, 1917 to 1996. During their time, many of the historical figures mentioned in this book, i.e. Jack Johnson and Wilma Rudolph, were identified as earlier colored or Negro. For the Undefeated, I chose to use the more contemporary term, Black and African American. To my great-great-grandfather, Sergeant March Corporal, 2nd U.S. Marine Corps, Kwame Alexander. For my grandmother, Verily Gunter Moore, I love you, Kadir Nelson. This poem is an ode, as Kwame writes, to the dreamers and doers, those who beat odds, stared down fear, and made this nation better. We are proud that this poem has now become a book bearing our name, The Undefeated. To our children and others who have faced setbacks and disappointment, we say, keep rising. Kevin Meritor, Editor-in-Chief, ESPN's TheUndefeated.com.